Super Great Kids Stories is a podcast full of fun tales to make you laugh and cry for anyone aged 5 to 105. Our storytellers share awesome tales which will stay in your head forever. Before you know it, you'll be the storyteller, telling your own version of these stories to your friends and family. Find, subscribe and download Super Great Kids Stories wherever you get your podcasts.
You are listening to Comedy Club for Kids presents Radio Nonsense, Radio Nonsense, Radio Nonsense, Radio Nonsense, Radio Nonsense. What's the word, hummingbird? I don't know why you'd ask a hummingbird what a word is. They wouldn't be very helpful, would they? They're a hummingbird. I mean, if you needed a word for something you were writing, or you were like doing a crossword, and you said, "Hey, hummingbird, I need another word for smelly river horse," it wouldn't reply with stinky hippo. It would just go, hum. I mean, I guess they hum. They might tweet. It might be their wings that hum. Anyway, either way, it's not it, is it? A hum isn't it. It would only be good if you said, like, "Hey, hummingbird, what's a word that rhymes with yum or bum?" And they went, hum. And you'd be like, "Oh, thanks, that's pretty helpful," but it's quite limited, isn't it? I'm just saying, if you're listening to this, don't ask hummingbirds for help with your homeschool homework, schoolwork, or whatever it's called now. Right, on to business. Welcome once again to Radio Nonsense, the official comedy club for kids podcast for everyone of all ages from Miocene to Jurassic, but not Proterozoic. If you are an ancient sponge or worm, then this show, it's not for you, mostly because you don't really have enough cells to understand it, and you look really icky. You're like an ancient sponge or worm, like, and you're probably a fossil now, and you can't really do anything, so just don't even try to listen to this show, okay? Or I'll tell your mum, who's probably also a fossil. It's amazing how fossils always look quite cool, isn't it? Like they're always about to swim somewhere or fly somewhere or do something pretty cool, like eat something, you know. I'd be really worried that if I got fossilised, it would be just as I was picking my nose or being sick, and they'll be put up on a museum wall and people in the future would point and go, "Ha, you're being sick forever now." That'd be awful, wouldn't it? What do you think the best thing to be doing when you got fossilised would be? I reckon it'd be like giving a thumbs up or pulling your favourite dance move or maybe eating a really great sandwich, so you'd be eating that sandwich forever. That would definitely be the best. Thank you for sending in even more amazing questions. I promise all of them will be answered in weeks to come. Thank you also for the nice reviews you put online about this silly show. And if any of the rest of you fancy writing us a review on Apple Podcasts or any of the other places you can get podcasts from, or even just on your lolloping grown-ups' favourite bit of furniture or important work documents, then that would be great as well. Could I also ask you lovely listeners another favour, please, if that's all right? If this show makes you giggle till you do a bit of a snort and then snot bubbles come out, can you tell all your friends to give it a listen too? The more listens we get for this podcast, the more that I can tell my dad, "You see, it is worth me spending all this time practicing eating sandwiches just in case I get fossilised." And that is important. But also, the more of you listen, the more people will find out about it, and then even more people can listen and laugh until snot bubbles come out of their nose as well. So please do that, and please also send in any other questions that you have too, which you can do by asking your lolloping clumps that you live with, grown-ups, to help you email us at podcast@comedyclub4kids.co.uk with anything you like, really. You can email us a question you need answering, or a preferable pose to be fossilised in, or a joke that you've made up, or a drawing you've done of a squirrel falling over, anything at all, really. And also, I have recently joined another great kids podcast called Super Great Kids Stories, alongside some fantastic storytellers. And that podcast, it's very popular at the moment, and it's a lot of lovely tales and stories to listen to. So not silly nonsense jokes like this, but properly good bedtime stories. And my first story on that came out a few weeks ago, and it was a Norse mythology tale about Loki, Thor and the Frost Giants. So give that a listen if you like that sort of thing, Super Great Kids Stories. If you do like that sort of thing, like Norse mythology, then let me tell you, shouting, "I am Thor, God of Thunder," just before you do a fart, that is the best thing to do ever. Do try it. And now, on to this week's, what's the word, hummingbird? Oh, you are rubbish. On to this week's guest.
At 3.8 grams, some hummingbirds weigh less than a penny.
Joining me on the show today is Will Duggan, aka Will the Never Ill, Will at the Mill, Admiral Huge Shoes, and the man with the fastest record for tying your shoelaces in the West, which is quite impressive considering his huge shoes. How are you, Will?
I'm very well. I've set a new record today with the shoe tying. Well, the thing is, being someone that has size 34 feet, the laces that I'm dealing with are just ropes, the kind that you'd climb in a gym class at school. So there's not much dexterity needed. It happens very quick. Also, I'm never ill, so my arms are strong and ready to go. You possibly said I had a mill, and why not?
That's fair. Well, you got to keep the rope somewhere, haven't you? I guess a mill would be a good place to keep all that rope when you take your shoes off.
I'm one of the few people in the world that can mill corn into rope. It's an old tradition.
Wow.
Yeah, I can't really talk more about it, or I'll be kicked out of the union.
That makes sense. And I mean, I'm just also very impressed that that you managed to get to places in time, because with shoes that size and tying the laces, but I guess that's why you have to tie them so quickly, because otherwise you'd never get anywhere.
It's one step, but they're basically like one step is 100 miles for me. So if I leave my front door, I take one step, I'm in Birmingham. Another step, I'm in Manchester. Another step, I'm in Carlisle. Like, for me to go to, say, the Edinburgh Festival, it's just a short jog. That's how big these feet are. It's
lovely.
Wild.
Can you cross seas like in the Channel and stuff, or is that a bit too? Do you need welly? Have you got big wellies for that?
Unfortunately, you need a little lilo that you gaffer tape to the bottom, and the commercial lilo industry hasn't yet caught up with my size feet. But thank you for your concern. Well, weirdly, my father, who I inherited my feet from, he used to wear Stenalink ferries as slippers.
Right.
So he could have gone across the sea. Yeah. It's a hell of a family.
He didn't bother, or because you say he could have, did he not? Didn't fancy it? Or?
No, he was quite the small-minded man. Didn't want to leave the UK.
Fair enough. Right. Well, fair enough. He knows what he likes. Well, with your absolutely massive feet, it is an absolute pleasure to have you on the show. How are you getting on in these times where we're all stuck at home a lot?
I'm very well. I'm having a nice time. I've been watching. I don't know if you've heard of the television.
Sorry, what?
It's kind of like the radio,
right,
but with holograms on top.
Wow.
Yeah. So
this sounds amazing.
Yeah, there's I think there's 3 programs now. There's SpongeBob, News at 10, but that's on at 2, and Peaky Blinders. That's it. So there's something for everyone.
That sounds amazing. So the News at 10's on at 2?
Yeah, because it's 10 o'clock somewhere.
Right, that makes sense, doesn't it? That makes absolute sense. Yeah, that's fine. So there's every chance someone else is watching it at 10, but someone else also might be watching it at 3 or something. Yes,
because I read an article on the BBC News website, and they said that now at least 1 in 100 people has access to a television. So it's probably 10 o'clock for them.
That's amazing. Well, I'm really excited to hopefully get one at some point. So have you been watching those 3 shows sort of regularly, or?
I don't really like Peaky Blinders or the News, so I'm just watching SpongeBob.
Sure, that's
he's
fair.
crazy.
Is that on constantly?
Yeah, that's he's a sponge, but he has adventures, and his friend is a starfish, and anyway, the squid doesn't like him even, and there's a squirrel, and so I'm watching a bit of that.
That sounds amazing. I mean, that's quite the imagination. I've got a sponge in our bath. It doesn't do anything.
What? You've got a sponge in your bath?
Yeah, for like sort of washing your bum and all that. So you got to use a sponge, but it doesn't like talk or anything. It doesn't have a friend.
Well, that sounds rubbish. That sounds really rubbish. I've got I've got like a hand that I put shower gel on, and then I sort of rub myself like I'm putting suntan lotion on, but I'm not, because it's February.
Wow, and that's amazing. You don't have that hand when you're not in the shower?
No, I leave it in there. Have you seen The Addams Family?
Yes,
it's a play.
Yes, I have. Yes,
it's not a TV show, because that would ruin the conceit.
What I thought. I was thinking about when I saw it on the radio, but I drew a little picture on my radio as it was playing.
Oh yeah. How big was your drawing?
It was very small. I fitted in all the characters, so they were all very small.
That's really good because you can carry it in your pockets.
That's exactly it. Yeah.
Great.
Show it to all my
What
friends.
have you been doing
Yep.
during the lockdown?
Eating crisps and pointing out the window at things that are different. So the other day, there was a man with the dog in the snow. And then yesterday, do you know what happened yesterday? There were some people on our road that had a really big mallet and they were just hitting the road with it and breaking bits of the road and then putting new bits of the road back on.
Vandals.
Oh, yeah, maybe that was it, actually.
Yeah.
But then I wonder what they were doing. Do you think they were taking the old bits of the road to sell them in some sort of illegal crime road selling place? And then maybe they were putting less good bits of the road on?
Yeah, well, I think that might be true because I've seen people building roads, and I'm 34 years old. I've never seen a shop that sells roads, so they've got to be getting these roads from somewhere. And I think it's outside your house.
Maybe do you know what you say? That I've never seen a road shop. I've never seen a road shop either.
But I have seen maybe they're just badly organised. I once bought my mother for Christmas some wrapping paper, some really nice wrapping paper, and she just ripped it all up. So maybe it's that kind of thing. The roads that you've seen are for sale if you know the right people.
Well, I might try and buy. I mean, you've really got me thinking. I might try and buy a road.
Yeah.
And then you could call it what you want as well, because I've always sometimes I look at road signs and think that's not a great name for a road. But if you bought a road, you could just call it whatever you could just call it, like, Silly Knees Road. You could call it like Henry Trousers Road. You call it what you like, couldn't you?
The Henry Trousers Road is in Kent.
Is it?
Yeah.
Oh, wow.
It's just near the Bumsmell Avenue.
There is actually, and this is for listeners. You can Google this on the Google Maps. There is an alleyway in Canterbury called Gas Passage. Yeah.
My favourite road is in York, and it's called Whitmer-Watmer-gate.
Wow, that is pretty good. Whitmer-Watmer-gate. That's very good. That is very good.
Yeah.
Roads are brilliant. I might buy several. I mean, I don't know. I haven't got any money. I'm assuming you could just sort of swap them for things.
Yeah, you could I think you can swap 3 lanes for a road, 2 roads for a promenade.
Oh.
And if you are very rich and you've got, now what's the currency thing? It's something like 4 roads, an avenue, 2 twitchels and a snicket, and you can get a boulevard.
Oh, wow. That's hard work though, isn't it? That is hard work. I don't know.
You've got to put the work in for that.
Yeah, and you've got to store those places somewhere in the meet. Again, you've got a mill. This is why you're a professional. This is why we're speaking to you today.
Yeah, I'm not an idiot. I'm a very serious man.
Yes, I know. That's why I've got you on the show. And, and obviously we've got some very serious questions to ask you in a minute. First thing I should just check, though, is as a very serious man, everyone's stuck at home at the moment. A lot of the kids are having to do homeschooling. I wondered if you've got a good tip for if you're stuck indoors. Like, what's a good thing to do? What's a good thing to, I don't know, entertain yourself with or keep yourself amused?
I think it's not necessarily a tip, it's a warning. And it's something that you must never forget when you're stuck indoors. And it's 4 very simple words. The floor is lava.
Oh. Whoa.
The floor is lava. If you are touching the floor in your house, someone else's house, the Queen's house, the Tate Gallery, the Tate Britain, the Guggenheim Museum, the floor is lava. Just remember that when you're stuck inside, because they're after you, the lava people. And they're waiting for you to drop your guard, touch the floor, and burn your little tootsies.
Wow, so when was the last time you touched the floor? Well,
1999. And that's why I only have 9 toes. Even my feet are still that big.
This why, I was going to say, while I'm talking to you, you do look like you're sort of slightly above the ground. How are you doing?
Sheer will and determination.
That's amazing.
They tell you at school that if you want anything enough, you can achieve it. But they mean things like financial security and a spouse and a mortgage. But what they don't tell you, but they should tell you, levitation, flight, the power to control others. But I'm not using that one right now. I'm just floating.
I should hope. So. I feel very free-willed at the moment, so I'm hoping that one's, hoping that one's okay. But this is very impressive. Will, I mean, this is fascinating having you on, and obviously this is an audio show for people's ears and not their knees. And I mean, they can listen to it with their knees if they really want, but it's better for you.
A grasshopper could. A grasshopper could.
Grasshopper could, of course, absolutely. This must be so annoying having ears on your knee. All you can hear is trousers all the time.
I mean, if it were my knees, it could hear cracking, creaking, and the ravages of time.
Yes, but that is because you're levitating. I think you need to, slow down the levitating a bit. It might ease off on the knees.
Don't ever tell me what to do.
I won't, Will. I'm very sorry. But what I was going to ask is, this is an audio podcast, and I just wondered if you had a favourite noise that you could either tell the listeners or make for the listeners.
Yes, I do have a favourite noise. I learned it from the television show SpongeBob, and I like the way that he laughs, but I think it's a lot nicer when it's done by somebody who isn't good at doing it, and that's where I step in. So Tom Kenny, the actor, I'm sorry kids, I've ruined the illusion, who voices SpongeBob, he can do the laugh brilliantly. I can do it a solid 5 out of 10. Love it, because it's like a dolphin after his voice is broken. And I like to think that's kind of who I am as a person, because they don't touch the floor either, dolphins.
That's true. Well, that was fantastic. That was exactly like a dolphin with his voice, but it sounded to me like a dolphin who was like pretending he enjoyed a joke but didn't really.
Yeah, well, killer whales, famously poor sense of humour.
That would be it. Well, that was fantastic. Thank you for that absolutely brilliant noise. And of course, this show is suitable for absolutely all of the ages. All of the ages possible. If you imagine an age, this show is absolutely suitable for that age. And as a result, we've got to make sure the show is family friendly. And I just wonder if there's a rude word that you could promise you won't be saying for the duration of this show.
Yes, I don't like to say many words. I think I only know about 15. And I'm at about 14 in this recording, so if I say this word, I'm at the last word I know. And it's just bum.
Why?
I won't.
Straight up
bum. It doesn't matter to me what you try to make me do. I won't say bum. You could say, Will, say the word bum, I'll give you £1 million. I'll say no. You say, Will, say the word bum, or I'm going to chop another one of your toes off. I won't say bum. There's nothing you can do to make me say bum. I won't say bum. I won't say the past participle of bum, which is also bum. I won't say the future tense of bum, which is also bum. I won't say the verb bum. I won't say the adjective, the noun bum, the adverb bum, the preposition bum. I will not say bum.
Wow.
So don't make me.
I'm really pleased you're not going to say bum. It would be terrible to say bum on this show, and frankly, we wouldn't allow it. We'd bleep them out if you said bum. It's that bad a word.
Will I say fart? Yes. Will I say bum? No. Will I say burp? Yes. Will I say bum? No. Will I say snot? Yes. Will I say bum? No.
What about some of the variables of bum? Like, will you also definitely make sure you don't say butt?
No, I won't say butt, because saying butt is like saying bum, and I won't say bum, so I can't say butt. I won't say bottom, because bottom's like butt, and butt is like bum, so I won't say bum or butt.
Sure, what about if you're talking about the bottom of something?
No, I say the reverse top.
Oh, that's better. That is better.
The top, the left side, the right side, the reverse top, because bottom is like butt, and no.
Well, thank you. Well, I feel very safe in your hands. I think that everyone knows it's family friendly. You're definitely not going to say bum. You're definitely not going to say any of the bum variables. We know that bum is not going to be heard on this podcast, and I just think everyone out there can feel very comfortable listening to this podcast, regardless of what age they are, and that's brilliant. Thank you very much for doing that.
Even 24.
Bum.
Oh no!
Oh well, it's all right. We'll. That you're allowed. I think you're allowed one to make sure that people know. It's listeners you can't see right now, but Will is very upset with himself.
I am.
It's all right.
So sorry.
It's okay. Well, listen. Let's move on rapidly for the reason that you are here and the reason that I've asked you to do this, because you're an expert at questions, as you mentioned earlier. You're a very serious man, and we've been sent 2 questions from and I'm going to give you their full names. We've been sent a question from Zoya Warrior Princess, who's aged 5, and we've also been sent a question from Terrific Tess, who's aged 3. Now,
great.
Both of them are really big. They're big questions. They require big answers. And you're the man to do it. So question 1, which is from Zoya, Warrior Princess, aged 5, is, how are dollies made? Will?
What a good question. Zoya Warrior Princess, thank you. I am the man for this. I actually have made several dollies in. Just to check, we do mean the trolley that a camera sits on so it moves smoothly. Is that what we mean?
I mean, are those called dollies?
They are called. Oh, do we mean dolls the toy?
I don't know. She didn't give any more details. She said dollies, so she could have meant trolley. Are they called trolley dollies? Is that right?
That's
she
the
could have meant
one.
trolley dollies, or she
Do
could
you
have
know
meant dolly dollies.
I'll cover both. The
Okay,
dolly a
yeah,
camera
fair.
sits on is a flat bit of wood and 4 wheels. Very simple. Push it along. Nothing hard there. Dollies the toy. Now, they are made from 4 ingredients. The first one is doll parts. We're talking legs. We're talking heads. We're talking torsos. We're talking dresses, shirts, trousers. Doll parts. That's 1. Number 2 is love. And you have to put the love into each piece of the doll part. That way the doll just becomes nice and your friend and something you want to play with. Number 3, glue. To put each part together. So once you've got a doll part, you put some love in it, you glue it to its friend. Normally, you'd go something like head onto neck, arms onto shoulders, legs onto hips. If you wanted, you could go head on hips and whatever you want. That's up to you. Don't put anything on the bum bum, because there's often not a joint there, something to go. It's where your poop comes out. Don't put your head there. It'll be smells. And that's the third one. Then the fourth one is packaging and barcodes. And that's it. That's a dolly. Get your doll parts, love them, glue them together, pop them in a box. You've got a dolly.
Wait, so just a quick question: is that the order you have to do? Doll parts, love, glue, packaging, and barcodes. Like, what if you did glue, doll parts, love, packaging, and barcodes? What would happen then?
No, because what's going to happen then is you've got some very sticky doll parts that even though you love them, you could never put them down. Also, they may get stuck into the packaging.
Right.
If you went love, then glue, you're a statistic from the 1990s. So it's got to be doll parts, love, glue, packaging. Please keep it nice and simple.
Okay, and just so doll parts, can you just buy doll parts? Can you just like we were talking earlier about we don't know where we get roads from. Can you just like are there just doll parts shops?
Do you know? I'm gonna dot the facade. Yes, Hobbycraft.
Oh,
You can buy
wow.
that. Yeah, Hobbycraft. They have a really good range in. It looks creepy when you buy in them because it's just lots of bits. But you see the ones, weirdly, you know the ones that you should get, because when you see them, you can feel that you love them already. And you're at step 2 already by that, and it's really good.
That's nice. That's really nice. And that's when you put the love in. What do you do to like get the love? Do you have to like be a bit sick on them or something? How do you do it?
So being sick on them, that's what we used to do in the pre-industrial time. Now it's just more you whisper that you love them into their, not ears, because arms haven't got ears. We've discussed that as well. But just whisper that you love them near them, and that's how they know you love them. No sick. You can do sick if you want to be a bit old school.
Sure. Yeah. But I mean, because I think that's quite a nice way to show someone you love them. It's just, blah, I love you, blah. I love you so much you make me sick, blah. It's quite nice.
Yes. That's why the last few times we've seen each other, it's like an absolute nightmare at the end of it. Like someone's had someone look at prawns, but it's not. It's just love.
Yeah, well, that's it. It's just love. And that's where some people get love sick, isn't it? That's the term comes from.
That's
that.
exactly why. Well done. Very good.
Exactly
Very good to notice
so,
that.
Will, I suppose I should ask: have you made any dollies, and have you got a favourite one that you've made?
So here's the problem: I've not made a dolly because I don't have any packaging.
Oh.
So I have several of the pre-formed dollies around my house looking for some packaging. So I've got this one here that you can't see, but here's one that I've got. It's like a dog dolly.
Oh, wow.
It's very big.
Yeah.
Got it. She's called Sophie, but you'll notice she is not in any kind of packaging. So she's not yet a dolly. She's a pre-dolly.
Okay, does that mean she's free to do what she wants any old time? Like, do you have to have them in packages? Is that like what happens if they're not in packages? Can't they just sort of roam around and do what they like?
They can. That is an excellent point. Thank you for bringing that up. You can't take your eye off your dolly. You may have seen the film, the documentary Toy Story. If you stop looking at your dollies, all sorts of shenanigans can happen.
Right.
And whilst it worked out for what's his name, Woody and Buzz, some of them aren't so lucky. I think of my Teenage Mutant Hero Turtle dollies from the past that went on an adventure. I've not seen them since.
That makes sense. I still often think about Lion-O from the Thundercats, and listeners, you'll have to Google that's from a very, very long time ago, sort of medieval times. And he still is, I believe he's still stuck behind a radiator at number 51A Stapleton Hall Road. That's very sad.
Thoughts and prayers.
Yeah, thoughts and prayers to Lion-O there. I mean, it's just constantly warm. I mean, so I suppose that's quite nice, isn't it? If you can be stuck anywhere, like in the winter, nice, but in the summer, awful.
Lions like it warm.
That's true. That is true, and he was part lion. So yeah, that makes sense. Well, thank you. Well, I mean, that is an absolutely fascinating answer, and I think hopefully Zoya will hear that, and she'll know now that she could make her own dollies, or at least there's no mystery about the dollies that she has.
Could I ask Zoya a favour? If she wishes to follow my instructions and makes a dolly, could she send it to your podcast so I could see it? Just
yeah. Definitely, I'll ask her to if she can send it to the podcast at comedyclubforkids.co.uk email address. And of course, if any other listeners are listening to this thinking, do you know what? I've got just 6 buckets of doll parts, and I've got like all these shoes full of glue, and I don't know what to do with them. I've got all these sheds full of packaging as kids do.
And the love brimmeth over.
Well, that's it, exactly. So, if they're just thinking, this is what I'm stuck at home, I can make just 4,000 dollies. Then send us some pictures, and possibly some of the shares, because if you're selling 4,000 dollies, that'd be quite good, wouldn't it?
It really would.
Quite lucrative, yeah, would be. Wow. Okay, well that's Zoya's question, absolutely sorted. Will, you've absolutely. I don't think anyone could answer that more. I think that's been answered to the most it could be answered.
Thank you so much.
Well, no, thank you. And now we've got the question from Terrific Tess, age 3, and Terrific Tess. I mean, possibly a similar question to the question before. Terrific Tess has asked, how are babies made? Will?
Yep. Well, thank you for asking. Good question, Terrific Tess. Really good question. You may recall recently I went through the process in how to make a dolly. That is almost exactly the same process as it goes to make a baby. But it's not a 4-step process, it's a 5-step process. So it's same 1, 2, 3, 4, but then the 5th step is 1 too many glasses of wine.
Right. Can I just check though, because you just said 1, 2, 3, 4. What about packaging? Like, do babies have? Because I didn't think babies had packaging and barcodes. Do they?
Not that you can see. They're very well designed. You may have bought a cream egg in the past, or a Kinder egg. It's a better example, where you can't really see the seam, but you know that there must have been a seam for the toy to get inside. That's where babies do have barcodes on packaging,
right?
But they are they're near somewhere that I can't and won't talk about.
Oh, I see. Oh, right, that makes sense. Sure. And that's where the barcode would be.
Yeah.
And is that why we put nappies on babies, to cover that up,
That's
so
exactly
that somebody
it.
can't scan them at the supermarket and accidentally sort of
Can you imagine
mix them up
if you were
with
doing
vegetables or something?
Doing a weekly shop and then suddenly there's an extra £50 in there?
Yeah.
Or dollars.
Or dollars, of course, yeah.
So yeah,
and I mean, also, like, what if there's a baby? You're like, well, I didn't want a baby. I wanted some onions and potatoes, and I've accidentally scanned a baby, and now I've got to take a baby home.
That's exactly it. Or you might want baby potatoes or baby onions, but I think you shouldn't get one by mistake at a supermarket, and that it's just careful ownership,
And is that because, I mean, I don't know about you, Will, and I don't want to just assume, but I'm pretty sure I was a baby. I'm not certain. I don't remember it. I'm pretty sure I was a baby. I don't know if you were a baby.
No.
But you weren't a baby.
No. I've been 34 for about Archduke Franz Ferdinand. Do you recall him?
Yeah, I've seen a program about him on the radio. Again, I drew a picture of him, and yes.
So I've been 34 since he was a baby.
Right. Oh, wow.
Yeah. So
Wow.
that was what. So he was born in about 1880, and I was 34 then, definitely. 34 now. I was 34 when the Berlin Wall came down. I was 34 in the millennium. I was 34 when Batman Begins came out. I was 34 when SpongeBob SquarePants first was released on the television. And I'll be 34, in a couple of years too.
Wow. So you've always been 34. That's amazing. And did you still have to wear sort of nappies for the beginning of that, or not really?
Had to is a strong word to say. I did.
Sure.
I did, yeah. I wore nappies from 1880 until Elvis Presley was around.
Right, that makes sense. I mean, but also they're just easier, aren't they? I often just sort of think it'd just be easier and just walk around poo where you like.
Exactly, and like they make your reverse top warm.
Yes, exactly. Well, that makes sense. Well, what I was going to ask then, I mean, and this won't apply to you because I'm assuming you don't have any barcodes and you never had any packaging. But I'm pretty sure I was a baby. Again, do you know what? You've got me thinking now because I don't have any memories of being a baby. Maybe I wasn't, but assuming I was a baby, do I still have a barcode?
You do have a barcode, yes, but you now it's actually on the teeth. It moves because we're an organic creature. Things move. We grow. We get older. The gaps in the teeth on the bottom row. That's an adult's barcode. So if you were to shine a red light in there, you'd find out, the make, the model.
Is that why sort of going to the dentist, they sort of always charge you some money because they scanned your teeth and then they've accidentally scanned your barcode and it's cost a bit of money?
That's what a dentist costs and doctors don't.
That makes sense. Unless you're listening to this in America where doctors also scan your teeth. Yeah, well, there we go. That makes sense. Yeah, that makes sense. Wow. Well, I mean, this is fascinating. I feel like you've answered all the questions. So we now know exactly how to make dollies, but we also know how to make babies. And I feel like we've got a lot of answers here. That's quite impressive. How do you know all of these things? Is it being 34 forever just means you've got a certain amount of knowledge? Or?
No, I have a book called The Comedy Club for Kids Podcast Questions. Right. And that is a book of every question you have ever asked, are asking right now, or will ever ask.
How did you get hold of this book?
I can't tell you. Suffice to say, there's a leak in your organisation.
Oh, no. I knew it, but this is... I went to the shop to get baby potatoes and onions, and we end up with a leak.
Yeah. Do you want to know what questions you'll be asking on the 4th of January 2430?
Oh, yes, please. Yeah.
It's a long-running podcast.
Well, I'm very pleased to know it goes for that long, yeah.
You're going to be asked how to make a stroganoff. That'll be your first question. How to make a stroganoff.
Oh, wow. Is it mushroom or beef or something else?
That is up to the person you're interviewing, which will be, 2430 January. So I'll have just turned 34 then. So I'll probably come back.
So it'll probably be you. Yeah. Out of it, and are you going to... I know you probably want to save it till then, but there's a little preview teaser. What sort of stroganoff do you think it might be?
I'm going crazy. I'm doing a mushroom and beef.
Wow! Will, slow down. That is... Well, I'm very excited. I know we've got a little while to wait, but I am very excited indeed. That's something to... It's nice to have something to look forward to, I think.
Isn't it just, Ian? Isn't it just?
Absolutely. Well, thank you, Will. Thank you for your expertise. Thank you for your serious answers to those serious questions. Have you got a nice rest of the... we're talking in the evening. Have you got a nice rest of the evening planned?
Yes, I'm going to have a glass of carbonated cherry drink, which I've recently discovered. It's very delicious, and I might have a Tunnocks tea cake.
Well, that sounds very exciting indeed. I hope you have a lovely evening, and thank you again for your time and for not mentioning the word bum even once.
Thank you so much. Bum!
Ah!
At 3.8 grams, some hummingbirds weigh less than a penny.
Huge thank you to Will Duggan, who will be 34 forever, and hopefully Zoya and Tess, that has answered all your very important questions about how babies and dollies, trolley and otherwise, are made. Also, don't forget the floor is lava, which must be why my shoes have melted and they smell really horrible now. Should you have important questions you need answering about anything at all ever, then get those lolloping clumps, grown-ups, to help you email us at podcast@comedyclub4kids.co.uk, or just send us anything you like, really, and I'll make sure a comedian who's as much of an expert as Will is answers it for you. Please also give us a nice review, tell all your friends to listen in, and tell anyone who's not your friend to listen to this, and then shout, "I am Thor, God of Thunder," and do a fart and run away. Also, if your grown-ups fancy buying us a hot cup of fossilised ancient sponge, then they can do that at ko-fi.com/Comedy Club 4 Kids or at the Acast supporter button. This will be back next week, so for now, what's the word, Hummingbird? Oh yeah, that's right, that's the right word. Well, thanks, Hummingbird. You're all right, really.
You have been listening to
Comedy Club for Kids presents
Radio Nonsense, Radio Nonsense, Radio Nonsense, Radio Nonsense, Radio Nonsense. It's the end.